What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to Life Metal. It's time for a rock metal update. That's right. Time for our rock and metal update. All 12-inch vinyl. Got a kind of a mixed bag of stuff here. I got thrash metal, death metal, hard rock. I got a little bit of everything in here, so this is going to get right into it. This is just one I've had on CD for years. I've got all their other stuff on vinyl. I just never found an original pressing copy of this, so I finally just broke down and picked up one of the repressings. There's a couple different repressings of this, of the very first Sacrifice album. Canadian thrash metal. This is very raw, very aggressive stuff. It's, much like the early Voivod or almost all these bands. Man, their first albums are just really raw, and part of it's the youthful energy and the way the songwriting is, but the other part is it's just a very rough recording, which gives it that rawness. And in some cases, raw recordings are a good thing, and sometimes they're a bad thing. Sometimes production can ruin an album, and it just makes it unlistenable. In other cases, it gives it a charm, like, for instance, the first Venom album, or the first 3 Venom albums, the first couple of Raven albums. They're very raw recordings. They're almost live in the studio kind of recordings, but they give it that I don't know, extra sound. It gives it that energy that some bands lose when things become, all processed in the studio, and it's just some bands, they just lose that. They lose the edge when things start getting mixed in a studio and mastered, and it just loses something. Well, this is not perfect production. It's very raw, very aggressive thrash metal. The first album, these guys have 5 albums out, and like I said, I have another 4 on vinyl. And I've always been holding out for an original pressing copy of this, and I just haven't never found one. So I found this copy on eBay cheap. It's actually been in my watch list forever, but the seller offered a really good price on it. I can't remember what it was, like 20 or 25% off with no shipping, so I went ahead and jumped on it and grabbed it. I love Sacrifice. Matter of fact, I just was able to work on a Sacrifice reissue that went on sale with Boone's Overstock insert for this one. And Apocalypse Inside remastered CD. It's phenomenal. So anyhow, I just kind of been in a Sacrifice mood because I was working on that and listening to lots of Sacrifice. Love the obligatory collage and a lot of the old thrash. I just remember back in the 80s when I was buying vinyl, and there wasn't digital, and there wasn't you couldn't go on MTV and see a Sacrifice video, and you couldn't go and watch stuff on the internet. I would listen to music and just stare at these pictures, man, just looking at all the different pictures and all these collages, which is one of the reasons I still love to do the collages and releases today. So matter of fact, inside the Apocalypse Inside on that I just finished up, and it's, like I said, now on sale, there is a center spread collage of all these old flyers and a few old photos of the band, which is really cool. I had to get it approved by Metal Blade because they're the ones who ultimately approved it, but they did, so I'm really happy with that. All right, totally jumping styles here. Thrash metal, kind of a southern rock thing. Black Oak, Arkansas. They were kind of a unique band. Jim Dandy, of course. This was, I believe, their second live album, Mother Live. Featured a lot of new songs. Did have a couple classics on there, such as Hot Nasty. And, of course, the opening track, Jim Dandy. This is just, I've actually had one of these for a long time. A buddy of mine sent me a copy in the mail. It was a little beat up. I should say a little beat up. It was a lot beat up. So I played it once, and I put it to the side, and I have this kind of pile of records that's over in one corner of the room over here that's like just stuff that won't be shuffled into my collection because just, I don't know, there's different reasons. Mostly it's condition, and that was the case on this one. So I just was in a Black Oak, Arkansas mood, and started spinning some of their stuff. I went and I pulled that one out, and I gave it a spin, and it was just like, I got through like the first half of the first side, and I'm like, okay, I'm done listening to Snap, Crackle, and Pop. So I went online immediately and found a near mint condition copy, which this is, and there you go. Black Oak, Arkansas, Mother Live from, what is this, had to be like 1978, 79, or is it earlier than that even? Ooh, earlier than that even. I think it's like 76 on here. I thought it was later than that, but whatever. They were a huge band for a while. Alright, this is one that you don't see very often, but I see it floating around every once in a while, and I've actually passed by it several times in record stores over the years. But this one was kind of cool because it is a Canadian pressing, so it's on the Bonsai label. And because of that, I'm going to pull this one out and show you, because the Bonsai label stuff is very collectible. If you find stuff like Venom and Metallica and some of those bigger named bands, some of those Bonsai pressings are worth quite a bit of money. Celtic Frost. So yeah, but this is just more mainstream heavy metal, goofy cover, obviously. A girl in lingerie with a flying V inside of an open mouth. I don't know. I'm not sure what the concept here was, but regardless, it's good stuff. I like this album. Glad to finally have a decent copy. I had a cassette copy for years back in the day, which I don't have anymore. So I hadn't actually heard this one in years. So it was kind of like getting a visit from an old friend again. Quite enjoyed it. Very good stuff from Maniacs. Okay, a couple of new wave British heavy metal records. This one's a reissue. The next one's an original pressing, but this is, I believe, the second album from Witchfind, Cloak and Dagger. And just one I was missing, and I found a decent price copy of the reissue on Back on Black and snatched it up. Good stuff. I believe there's actually let's see if there's I can't remember if there's a picture sleeve inside or not. I know people hate those sleeves. It's the gatefold, band photos, history of the band, some other stuff. Very cool. And these guys, the look. Nope, no inserts. But the look of especially the look of the first album, and even this one, is not quite what you would expect musically. From the looks of their first couple albums, you would expect something really raw and heavy, like a Venom. But it's really not that heavy, not that raw. Much more melodic, straightforward heavy metal. It's got that. For me, the new wave of British heavy metal was more of a movement than a sound, because there was such a wide variety of styles in that from the punk edged bands like Warfare and very early Iron Maiden and very early Tigers of Pantang to the raw Venom stuff, to the fast Maniacs like Raven, it was just all over the spectrum, to the more melodic stuff like Def Leppard. It was just all over the map. So but when you think of the new wave of British heavy metal sound, these guys will probably fit into that sound pretty well. So anyhow, Cloak and Dagger from Witchfind, and this is a next one is kind of a grail. I've been looking for this forever. I mean, a long time. And I see copies on eBay pop up every once in a while. They're always from like European sellers. They're always about $50 or more, and they always have $20-$30 shipping on it. So man, I'm just not spending that much money on that album. But I finally got a copy of their very first 100 proof from, what was it, 79, 1980, somewhere in that area. And I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, it's kind of more on the, when it comes to new wave British heavy metal, it comes more on the boogie rock side of things, maybe like a Vardis or a Status Quo, but it's still really good. Hard rock from that era, from that early '80s era. Excuse me. This one needs a reissue pretty bad. It'd be nice to see a quality reissue on this one. Well, the funny thing is, I ended up scoring 2 copies. I've never been able to get one, but I got 2 copies, both of them. I mean, literally for about $50 for both of them with shipping, and they're both in decent shape. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're at least VG plus, if not excellent condition. So I picked this one up and kept this one for myself. It's got some bends. I don't know if you'll be able to see that if I glare it, but there's some bends in the in the vinyl and whatnot, or in the cover. But regardless, 100% proof, UK new wave of British heavy metal. These guys put out 2 full-length albums and a single, and then some of the guys went on to form a band called Force 3, which put out an album on the Pure Metal label. All right, some progressive death metal. This is Turbid North. Now, this band I didn't know at all before about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a little longer than that. But anyhow, we had the bass player from Turbid North on my other channel, the Metal Roundtable, and we were doing an interview with him about one of his other bands, and we started talking about Turbid North, And Rob Caldwell, one of the co-hosts with me, described them as Pink Floyd playing death metal. I'm like, okay, I got to hear that. So this is one of their albums. They have 3 albums out. From what I understand, the first album was independent released, and it was kind of more of a Pantera-ish style, and then they went towards a more progressive death metal style, and that's what this is. I can understand where they get that Pink Floyd meets, plays death metal sound. Really enjoyed this album quite a lot, but I mean, whether someone who likes Pink Floyd is going to like it, I can't say. But yeah, it's got the deep, dark vocals. It's got a lot of heavy moments, but they really just weave this really cool progressive tapestry with more melancholy, melodic moments, slower tempos here and there, mixed with the faster tempos, and it's just a really solid album from a band I wasn't even aware of up until, like I said, a few weeks ago from the Metal Roundtable. Which is why I like that show. You get 3 different guys from 3 different backgrounds with varying ages, from early 50s all the way into your 60s. So you get all these different bands. Oddly enough, it's the guy who was in his 60s who likes the more extreme stuff. But yeah, great album, Turbid North. Let me see if I can't remember the name of the album. I think it's a bit odd that they don't put the name of the band or the album on the cover, which makes it really hard to find if you're in like a record store or something. This is called Eyes Alive, and here's the gatefold. You can see the inside. Turbid North. So good stuff if you like melodic progressive. I'm trying to think of bands to compare them to. Maybe some Amorphous. Gosh, man, I can't even think of another one. I'm definitely not the death metal expert, but I do like some death metal, and this happens to be one of them. So, Turbid North. I believe these guys are I believe they're out of Texas. All right, switching gears once again. Like I said, this one's all over the place musically. This is a promo live album from Rick Derringer, live in Cleveland. It's in his little teeny type, it says, "This is a special record brought for broadcast use only. This record is not for sale to the public. This record is not meant to be reviewed." But yeah, really good live album. I found a decent price copy, so I snatched it up. Of course, it got a couple classic on here. He does a cover of Rebel Rebel, but he also does, of course, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, which was one of his big songs. Let Me In, Teenage Love Affair, Sailor, Beyond the Universe, and Roll With Me. And you can also see on the back it says this is a special record for broadcast only. So it's really cool to pick that up. I never owned this one, so it was a good listen. Enjoyed it. I like Rick Derringer. I can't say that I'm the biggest fan of Rick Derringer. Of course, came out of the Edgar Winter group and had quite a few hits back in the day. He worked with Aerosmith a bit too. Great guitar player and great artist. All right. Switching gears, sound again. This is kind of your LA sleazy metal stuff. This is Thrills for Kills, a really, really super clean copy of their album, Dynamite from Marineland. It has the original hype sticker, which looks like it's stuck on the record. It's not. It's just sitting in there. This band features Gilby Clarke, who went on to do bigger and better things. But I mean, it's good. I liked it. If you like that kind of sleazy, Dangerous Toys, Dirty Look, L.A. Guns, Guns N' Roses, that kind of sound, that's what you're going to get here. You kind of get that's I don't know what else to say. It's just sleazy LA style heavy metal. They look the part and they sound the part. So really, another band I've heard of this band. I was somewhat aware of them, unlike Turbid North, that I didn't even know existed. I kind of had this band in the back of my brain, but I never owned this record. So stumbled across a copy from a seller I buy from a lot for a good price, and I snatched it up. This one I pre-ordered. This is the Flotsam and Jetsam Dreams of Death colored vinyl reissue on vinyl. It's never been on vinyl before. It's on Back on Black. Played it 2 or 3 times already. I love this album, but I'm a big Flots fan. Flots Till Death, and I'm glad this one was finally released on vinyl. So, yeah, there you go. It is a gatefold. There's nothing super special about this thing. They didn't put a whole lot of extras in it, other than throwing it onto vinyl. All right, there you go. There's a picture of the band on the inside and lyrics. That's about it. It is on colored vinyl, but these days colored vinyl is not anything really special because everything's on colored vinyl. But it is just on a purely clear. I mean, it's not even like a Coke bottle. It's clear. You can literally see through the dead wax on this thing. So Pretty cool. I love Flats. Flats Till Death. Glad to have it on vinyl. Nearly all their stuff has been re-released on vinyl now, or been remastered for gold disc, which there's a bunch of those out there. That I think I have all those as well. I think Unnatural Selection is going to be next in the gold disc series. So, Flotsam and Jetsam, Dreams of Death. Put this sucker away real quick. There we go. All right. From thrash metal to this really, really mellow. This is not even hard rock. This is one of my favorite instrumental albums. Master Musician is my absolute favorite album from Phil Keaggy, but this is another one of Phil Keaggy's instrumental albums. This is The Wind and the Wheat. It's one of those albums that I love to kick back and relax to. It's an album I also like to put on when I'm like working on something real intense and I don't have to focus. You know, where the music's going to pull away my focus. It's just kind of in the background and melodic and mellow, and I just quite enjoy it. And mostly acoustic guitar instrumental album. Phil Keaggy is one of the greatest guitar players on the planet. There's a fairy tale out there that somebody asked Jimi Hendrix in an interview one time, what's it feel like to be the greatest guitar player in the world? And he said, I don't know, ask Phil Keaggy. There's no indication that would ever happen or that was ever true. I doubt it ever was. But it just tells you that how much people love his guitar playing, that they would actually, say that he's one of the greats like Jimi Hendrix, and I agree. Now you don't expect him to sound like Jimi Hendrix because that's not his thing or his style, but great musician. He used to be in a band in the '60s called Glass Harp, who put quite a few albums out. And then also, I have quite a few Phil Keaggy albums, but I just didn't have this one. This is the Private Collection from Phil Keaggy, Volume 1. This is Underground 1983. Studio tracks from Phil Keaggy. This is more straightforward rock stuff. You hear a lot of Beatles influences in his writing and his non-instrumental stuff, and again, not hard rock, just straightforward rock and roll, and really well done stuff by one of my favorite guitar players, Phil Keaggy. And we're switching gears again for something totally out of the. It's just bizarre. This, like I said, this updates all over the map musically. So this is Zapped. So you got Frank Zappa. This is a compilation. It looks like, I don't know, it's a little odd. I don't understand the whole thing. I need to do a little more investigating. I've heard different stories from different people. But it's got Alice Cooper, Captain Beefheart, of course, Frank Zappa. It's got Lord Buckley. It's got the GTOs, Captain Beefheart. A little bit of everything on here, and all work together on one album. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me more. This is one of those albums I need to learn more about. I was given this by a friend, and I am a Zappa fan. I can't say that I'm a fanatic where I know the ins and outs of his life and stuff like that. But I have read an autobiography on him a decade ago. But I couldn't tell you much about this album, so I quite enjoyed it. But like I said, it's not necessarily a Frank Zappa album because it's got all these different bands on it. But it's still a cool release on Warner Brothers Reprise. And of course, what was Zappa's label at the time? Straight. What year did this come out? Is there a year on here even? This might have been before. 1970. Okay. Once again, this is an EP, Japanese pressing. This is a Grail. This is one that I've been looking for forever for a decent priced mint copy, and that's what we got here with the OB strip. So this is Motor School. This is the Girlschool Motorhead collaboration from 1980, I think it was. Looking for see if there's a year on the back of this thing. Maybe it was 81. This publishing on here is 81, but in any case, so it's got 6 tracks and a gigantic center label. But the 6 tracks are "Please Don't Touch," which is a Girlschool number, but it's Motorhead and Girlschool together recording the song. It's got Girlschool playing "Bomber," which of course "Bomber" is a Motorhead track, and it's got Motorhead with doing "Emergency," which is of course a Girlschool track, and then it's got the Motorhead's version of "Bomber." It's got the Girlschool version of "Emergency," and then it's got Girlschool version of "Yeah Right," one of their early singles from 79, 80. And then it's just some cool artwork. I love all the animation of the band together. So very cool collection. Japanese thing. If you could find a copy of this thing, if you're a big Girlschool, Motorhead, new wave British heavy metal fan like I am, this is kind of an essential one to have in your collection. So, all right, got some singles in here. A few more full lengths. Let's go through the full lengths first, then we'll get to this. We'll get to the 12-inch singles. This is never been on vinyl before. Finally available on vinyl. This was the Michael Schenker UFO Reunion Walk on Water, which was a really good album. Better than their 70s stuff? Nah, heck no, man. You're never going to beat the nostalgia of those 70s Michael Schenker UFO albums. But it's a really darn good UFO record. Really enjoyed it. When the CD came out, I played it over and over and over again. And every once in a while, I get into these UFO moods where I just start playing their, bunch of their things. And I pull this one out pretty regularly. So it was really cool to find this one come out on vinyl. Let's see, it also comes with a, I think it's still in here. I don't think I put it away yet, but let's see here. If I could do this without dropping things, it'd be great. Yeah, it came with a single that has a live version of Lights Out and Dr. Doctor from '95, which is cool. I struggle with leaving these things inside the record. It did come with the record, so it's got to stay in it, but at the same time, I want to put this with my UFO 7-inch collection. Let's see, here is the, what would you do? Where would you put it? I mean, I don't know. Anyhow, great photos of the band on the inside. You see old Phil Mogg and, yeah, Pete Way, Paul Raymond, Andy Parker on drums. Of course, Pete Way has since passed away. So, classic first wave of British heavy metal band, UFO, and Walk on Water, one of their great reunion albums with Schenker. Unfortunately, it was a short-lived reunion, only lasted for that one album and the tour for that album. There's also a live album recently released, which I'll show in another update, that came out off of that tour, which is really, really good as well. So, okay, here's the one that's kind of obscure. This is the Obscursions. Original copies of this on vinyl are impossible to find. This is a reissue on Twisted Flowers Records. TwistedFlowerRecords.com. Who are Twisted Flower Records? I have no idea, but I'm glad this album was finally reissued on vinyl. I had a CD reissue from, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. I've had that thing forever, but I really wanted the vinyl version, and that's what you get here is the vinyl version. Sound-wise, it's probably, what's this, 1969, 1970 sound here. The Excursions were formed in Chicago in 1968. Mike and Fi were the original group and were later joined by Leon in '69. The group's sound was spawned out of Chicago's own particular blend of jazz, blues, and rock. It has since matured along with the group's experience in life. The most critical factor in their music today is the relationship with their Messiah. The commitment to him has brought a new sound, a new hope, and new way. They have toured extensively throughout the colleges and universities of the Eastern USA. In 1970 and 71, the Excursions were featured attraction at the Fort Lauderdale Easter weekend. So there you go. The Excursions. Sound-wise, someone told me it's a mixture of Cream and Jimi Hendrix Experience, and I can agree with that 100%. When they first told me that, I'm like, that doesn't tell me anything. But when I listen to it, I can hear that Power Trio Cream sound in here, and I can also hear some of the songwriting of the Hendrix Experience. It doesn't have the pyrotechnics of like the Jimi Hendrix, all the feedback and all the crazy guitar solos and all that kind of stuff, the experimentation that Jimmy was into. But if you look at this, the actual songwriting, I can hear some of that experienced songwriting on here. But then again, like the little thing on the back says, there's also a bit of the blues and a bit of the jazz influence as well. So really cool album, kind of obscure. If you're into that, 70s heavy or proto-metal kind of stuff, then the Excursions are kind of cool to check out. I quite enjoyed that album. This is a brand new album from Screamer, from Sweden. Great band. This has got to be their 6th or 7th album now. This album just came out. I've probably played it 3 times already and really enjoying it. This one promises to be one of my favorites of 2020 just because I've played it so much already. Sometimes I'll buy a new album, stick it on, and it won't do much for me, and I'll stick it in the pile and won't go back to it for a while. Man, this one, I played it one day, and then I had it back on the next day, and then a week went by, and I put it on again. So, yeah, really good album from Screamer. Kingmaker is the name of the album. Check them out if you like that traditional heavy metal sound, new wave traditional heavy metal sound, from Sweden. So this one here, I don't know. Yeah, I this is one that, like I said, that one sometimes I listen to it doesn't you know click with you and you put it away. And that's kind of what happened with this one. I played it once and it just didn't. I was just like, not what I was hoping for, expecting, I guess. But this is Envy of None, featuring Alex Lifeson on guitar, of course from Rush. Now with Rush, Alex Lifeson in the '70s was like, one of the 3 stars of the show. By the '80s, he was kind of buried amongst a mixed mash of pop writing and keyboards, and the guitars became kind of back of the, and they just weren't up front and where they should be. So I was kind of hoping that this would feature some Smoke and Alex Lifeson guitar work, but this is much more melodic, mellow, keyboard oriented. I'm not even sure how to say it. Like I said, I've only heard it once. It's just not anywhere near the hard rock spectrum that I guess I was hoping for. So I'm going to give it a few more spins. I need to show this one again in a future video and let you know more about it. I'm sure some of you have heard it. What do you think of it? Envy of None, featuring Alex Lifeson, Andy Karan, Mariah Wynette, and Alf Anibalani. Yeah. Okay, next ones are 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 singles here, and that's it. And I'm 25 minutes in. So, all right. So this is the Judas Priest Hot Rockin' single. I picked this one up and 2 more of these from a buddy of mine here in New Mexico that was selling part of his collection. Just one that I was missing. So this is Hot Rockin', backed with 2 live tracks, Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight. And I swear, Breaking the Law is the B-side of just about every single Judas Priest 7-inch and 12-inch live versions of it. I'm a huge Priest. I'm a Priest fanatic, but Breaking the Law has never been one of my favorite tracks. It is definitely one of the more simplistic radio play, dumbed down tracks from Priest, but people love that song and whatever. Anyhow, I like the song Hot Rockin', so very cool to have that. It's got the nice picture. It's just black vinyl, black sleeve with just a sticker on it, and it's got the custom center label. Let me show these 2 here that I've also picked up from him. I have a lot of the original 12-inch Iron Maiden singles, but I didn't have these 2, so this thing is really heavy. I can't even explain how heavy this thing is, but this is the Holy Smoke single, 12-inch single, and it contains a 60 by 40 poster, and 60-inch by 40-inch poster. It's huge and it's heavy. It's on a really heavyweight paper. And then, of course, it's stuffed inside of the 12-inch sleeve on top of it. So this thing is super heavy, but it's got 3 tracks total on here. It's got Holy Smoke on the A side, of course, and then All in Your Mind and Kill Me Cesar on the B side. Let me take this thing out of here real quick. So here's the... this is why it's so heavy. This poster is just a giant. There's no way I'm unfolding this whole thing, but that's just a little piece of the poster. And as you can see, the little piece doesn't fit in the screen. So cool collectible. Nothing more than that, really. But Maiden is just one of those bands that I collect anything by, especially their 80s stuff. Although this I think is actually 1990, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 1990. So there you go. Iron Maiden. And let's see. And then also Iron Maiden, Infinite Dreams, backed with Killers Live and Still Life Live, recorded in 1988. And this one, I believe, this is from 1989. This release is from. And much like that one, has a poster, but unlike that one, is not in a sleeve. So here's the record in a polyline sleeve. The actual cover here is the poster. So it, again, opens up to this gigantic live poster of the band. It's pretty cool. But I'm not going to open up the whole thing. It's just a pain in the neck to get it all folded back up again. But there you go. The Infinite Dreams 12-inch single. And then one more in this edition. One more 12-inch single. This is the single for Let It Go, backed with Farewell and Dark Desire, Japanese 12-inch single, Loudness. And I picked this one up on eBay from a guy. I buy a lot of my 12-inch, actually 12-inch and 7-inch Japanese stuff from, because he He's very reasonably priced stuff, and his shipping is reasonable as well. And I picked this one up in a group of, actually it was a bunch of 12-inch single, 7-inch singles, and I grabbed this one as well. So that's why I've actually had this one for a while. I just haven't shown it because it's been sitting in a pile with all these things, just showing this 12-inch video. It actually has the World Tour 86 on there as well, but it's all in Japanese, so I can't read any of it. But there you go. That's my 12-inch single update for, what are we in, March of 2023. Appreciate you all watching. Please leave a message below. I love talking to you all and reading all your comments, and I try and answer back. Sometimes it take me a day or two to get to you. It might even take me a week or more, but I try to get back to everybody eventually. So that's it. God bless. Stay strong.